The truck market has just collapsed. Truck inventory is stacking up here at Ram and at Ford. MSRP on this is $95,000 and more rows of these brand new Ram trucks. Check this line of Ford trucks out as far as the eye can see. They have trucks sitting here, a full line of them right here, another massive row of trucks right here. Even here at Toyota, trucks are stacking up. I'm a used car dealer and now I'm able to buy trucks that I can sell for under $5,000. Automakers are beginning to lay their workers off. And these production cuts, they're not just happening at Ram. Ford is cutting some of their trucks production by 50%. And it's no secret why they have so many of these trucks sitting around. MSRPs continue to increase. This same trim level truck was $43,000 in 2019. Today, this one's $73,000. And that line of trucks is not even their front row. There it is over there, way more trucks.
Even in Scottsdale, Arizona, these trucks are just piling up.
All right, so this is the cheapest F-150 that I can find on this lot, and it's still over $50,000. Dealers have remained stubborn on asking prices, but now the tides are turning. All right, there's an ominous sign. The blackbirds just hovering over these Ford trucks. Yep, you hear it?
All right, Brandon, you are talking about the truck market collapsing, and well, dealers, their prices are finally coming down. I found a 2023 Ram 1500 Laramie, one of the expensive ones. This dealer's had it for 242 days.
And this inventory buildup is not just happening in my part of the country at this Ford dealership. Check this out.
Even here in Scottsdale, Arizona, there are Ford trucks as far as the eye can see. Even this wraps around, and they're just selling as slow as anywhere else in the country. There's an entire row going all the way around here. There's a row of trucks all the way over here. And this dealership is even stacked with a bunch of F-150 Lightnings that are just not selling because if you look at this white platinum Ford F-150 Lightning, it's gonna cost you $94,285. And this F-150 trimmer, $75,245. As you can see, Ford lots and truck lots in general are just stacking up and totally overloaded all across the country. And no matter where you are, whether you're on the West Coast, in the South, in the Northeast, or New York City, the story is going to be the same. If you just walk down to your local Ford dealership, you're gonna find trucks are everywhere.
So I wanted to show you guys a price comparison today. These two trucks behind me, these are F-150 Lariats. They're not the highest trim levels and they're not the lowest trim levels, but I pulled it up back in 2019. Both of these trucks, the MSRPs would have been right around $43,000. And today we have an MSRP of $73,000. It's absolutely insane how far trucks have risen in price in just a few years. So here's the top level trim of the F-150s. It's a limited and it's $86,000. So Stellantis, which is Jeep, Dodge, Ram, they're actually planning on laying off 3,000 of their workers, but they're actually blaming California state emissions for these layoffs. And we're hearing this out of all of these manufacturers is they're wanting to blame everything other than demand for production cuts, for layoffs, because you know what? Shareholders don't want to hear that demand for these trucks is not there. All right, so here's an example of a truck that Ford knows it can't sell. They know they can't sell it so much that they're cutting production by 50%. And what do they charge for this truck? MSRP on this is $95,000. Absolutely ridiculous. So here's the thing too, most of these trucks that are behind me, they're all 2023s. And what we would see towards the end of this year, which is where we are right now, is 2024s getting loaded up at these dealerships. And we're not seeing that yet because they don't have room for it. They got to move out these 2023s before they can start bringing in the 2024s. So here's another big problem. All these 2024s are now coming out and their MSRP are higher than what they were trying to sell these 2023s for. And they already know that at these price points for these 2023s, they weren't moving. So, okay, manufacturers, let's fix the problem. I know what'll help, let's just charge more. And that's not going to be the solution to these inventory problems. They're going to have to start cutting the prices, and it's going to start with the manufacturers. They can't keep on increasing the MSRPs on these trucks. They're not going to sell them. So I come here to a dealership like this. This is a dealership that hasn't had a lot of inventory over the last few months, but now, as you can see behind me, they have a full row of these Tundras, these Tacomas, and we're seeing that really across the market, even at these brands that have had production problems actually getting vehicles to their dealerships, that the demand is so low that they're able to now load up on a lot of these trucks. Even here at Toyota, trucks trucks, they're loading up. And these Tundras, I absolutely love these Tundras. And this one right here, the price is $74,000. It's beautiful, but way too expensive. And demand is so low for these trucks that dealerships, they have to play games with their pricing to actually get anybody to even look at these trucks. Check this out.
Look at this price history. This dealer originally listed this vehicle for sale back in March of this year at its original MSRP, $75,990. And that's when the games began, man. Look at this. The price went down, then it went down, then it went up above MSRP, back to MSRP, above MSRP, below MSRP, above MSRP. Deep, significant price cuts in here. And now we're all the way back to MSRP pricing again on the dealer website. These prices are all over the place to try and get customers to click on a price drop alert. Folks, you've got to know that the truck market, it's finally turning. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. Not me. I meant Brandon.
But dealers really, they played these games for years and years and years, and what they do is they'll actually market these cars for lower than they want to actually sell them to you. And the reason that they do this, they'll put this low price on the internet, and then when you get there, they'll charge this massive market adjustment. But the reason they do this is because they'll get priority listing. They'll get the highest listing on the internet site that you're looking at because they're offering the lowest price. So another big problem for these manufacturers is the prices, they're way up, but the quality is way down. So even if there's consumers out there that are able to afford these really, really expensive trucks, they might be holding back because they're seeing the number of recalls actually coming through these manufacturers. Ram just recently had a recall on a lot of their trucks where when you put the turn signal on, it actually turns your high beams on. And this might seem like a very little thing, but recalls like this are very costly, and it's not really good for a consumer to hear this that's looking to actually buy a car when they're seeing recall after recall after recall pop up every few months on a lot of these trucks. And Ford right now is the worst of the worst. They actually have the highest amount of recalls of any other manufacturer out there. And when consumers see these quality problems come out of these manufacturers like Ford, like Ram, they're going to think twice before even buying a new vehicle right now, because they're looking at all these recalls and they're like, well, if I'm going to buy a truck and I'm going to spend this amount of money on this vehicle, I don't want anything to be wrong with it. And let's let them get these recalls figured out before I dip my toes in the water of actually purchasing a vehicle. So even if these consumers have the money to buy these vehicles, they're seeing all these recalls coming through. They're seeing all these problems that are rising with these trucks over the last few years. They're going to keep their money in their pocket, and they're not going to buy anything right now because they're worried about the quality. So now the UAW strikes are well behind us, and guess what? During these strikes, it's insane to think about, but these dealerships actually increased their inventory during these strikes, during production cuts. They're not selling so much that when they decreased the production, they still increased supply at these dealerships. All right, strikes are over. Everybody come back to work. All right, we need to stop making these trucks. Everybody go home. So here was a big worry for a lot of these union workers that I had, is that once these strikes were over, these brands realized that, you know what, the demand's not there. And even during these strikes, there was no demand for these trucks, but they didn't want to cut production because they didn't know how long these strikes were going to last. Now that the strikes are over, production has to be cut. So they bring all these workers back from the strike, bring them off the streets. Okay, get back to work. And now, you know, like, stop. Because you know what, demand's not there. We can't keep producing these trucks at the level that we have been producing them. So now we got to cut workers. We got to fire people. Even though we just brought them back, we can't keep them all. We got to let them go. So now, because these strikes are over, there are no reasons for any kind of supply inventory shortage. No longer can these dealerships whine about not being able to get vehicles. No longer can they put market adjustments and claim that we have no more trucks coming in. We don't have enough inventory to be able to load these spots on our dealership, so we have to charge a market adjustment. Those days are over. And I'm actually very interested to see future earnings earnings from the big three, Ford, GM, Stellantis, because I believe in the previous quarter we actually had a lot of pull forward in demand from these dealerships because they were worried about these strikes lasting longer than they actually did, and they were still taking these allocations when they didn't need to take them, when they really couldn't take them, but they were worried about filling spots on their lot. And we just got out of the time where there was this big supply shortage, and they didn't want to deal with that again, so they were overloading, overflowing, putting vehicles in separate lots. You can see a lot of videos across YouTube where we're seeing dealerships actually stacking vehicles in lots that aren't even close to where their dealership is because they needed places to put them. But no longer. All this pull forward in demand from their worrying, it's all gone. There's nothing that's going to cause them to worry about actually getting trucks from Ford, from GM, from Stellantis. And now we're already seeing them start to turn down allocations because they can't take them anymore. I'm very interested to see the earnings reports going forward because that pull forward in demand from these dealerships, no longer. We're going to start actually seeing some real numbers coming out of these manufacturers. So I showed you that truck in our intro that we have out there in our front line, and what's interesting about it is not how cheap it is, but literally that it's actually a truck. See, I'm a used car dealer that we specialize in selling cars that are $5,000 and under, and over the last 2 years we have not really been able to buy any trucks. It's to the point where myself and my mechanic who buys cars from me, when we would see trucks sitting at these auction lots, even if they got 150, 200, 250,000 miles, we would just walk past them because we knew we would not be able to buy them cheap enough to be able to retail them here at our lot for under $5,000. And now that's changing. We're able to see these trucks go through the auction. We're starting to look at them again because we know that we can buy them, the truck like I showed you out front, for $3,000, $3,500. And when we can do that, we can get it to our consumer for under that $5,000 range. And this gets me very excited about our current market because trucks, they sell very well, especially when I can get them at our price point. And because the truck market, especially on the new side, is so weak right now, I know that wholesale prices are going to continue to go down. And why that gets me excited is because that means I'm going to be able to buy more trucks, and I'm going to be able to sell more trucks for under $5,000. So I know this is a video about trucks, but I wanted to point this out. This is a Bronco Raptor, and I wanted to point it out for two reasons. One, because it's actually there, and I really haven't seen it at any of these dealerships, so I want to show it to you. It's like $95,000. And two, there's no market adjustment on that Bronco, and there really probably could be because they're not just common out there. You really can't just go out there and find one of these Raptor Broncos. And I wanted to point that out because I want to say that there's actually dealerships out there that are not adding these markups. They're not adding these market adjustments whenever they could, and specifically on something like that. And when you see that at a dealership like this, and you see all these trucks, and you see them just packed everywhere, even in like their service bay, their service parking and stuff. They're brand new trucks over there, so they're running out of places to actually park them. It's to show you that this is not a dealership problem, because a dealership like this, I've been here many times over the course of the last 6 to 8 months, and I've never once seen a markup, never once seen market adjustment, not nitrogen, nothing like that. And they could have charged these things during crazy times, and they didn't. So I want to say that this is not this dealership's problem right here, because they're not trying to price gouge people. This is a Ford problem. I'm on a Ford dealership. The MSRPs are too high, and that's the reason why inventory is stacking up. And guess what? All these OEMs, they're coming out, they're saying MSRPs are doing nothing but going up. And recently, since I've been showing a lot of these cheaper vehicles, and now hopefully we're going to show you a lot more trucks that we can actually sell for under $5,000, we've been asked a lot where our car lot is, and I'm not going to give out that information, and there's two reasons for it. One, we've got a small team, we're a small car lot, and we can't handle the volume of the questions, the phone calls that would come in from people asking questions off of YouTube. And two, I am here on YouTube to try to give you advice, show you what the market is doing, show you really what we're doing at our car lot, so you can take that information and use it when you're actually buying a vehicle for yourself. And I feel like that if you see me as just a car dealer on YouTube trying to push my product to you, trying to sell you a car, then you're not going to, the vice is not going to feel real. I'm not going to feel transparent, because you're just going to feel like I'm just trying to peddle my wares here on YouTube, and I'm not trying to do that. So no, I'm not going to give out my my car lot information on YouTube, because I want you to be able to just take the information I'm giving you, and don't feel like I'm trying to sell you anything. So that's the reason. So now here's a big worry. Now I'm going to walk in front of trucks, so let's go this way.
This is that little 5-second clip that you wanted.
Somebody's yelling at me. Start again. All right, what are we going to do? All right. Now, because these strikes are over, there are going to be no reasons. There's no hang-ups. No reason for... And now the UAW strikes are well behind us, and guess what? No. A recall on a lot of their trucks, where when you turn the blinker on, the turn signal, a lot of people are not going to know what a blinker is. All right, bird. Let's see here. I got it. Is it back here? Nope. So it got to be that one right there. There are always car alarms going off. Always behind me. So I showed you that truck that we... Start over.